Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another video. um, I've seen a lot of stuff, seeing about, just a complete reversal of a lot of folks, particularly people like Richard Spencer, whose ex-wife, who, yeah, he did beat up and shit like that. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. Um, was somebody who worked with Dugan, this and that sort of thing, but now is aggressively pro-Ukraine. Now, of course, this is my optics game, and ultimately, he's probably a Fed for all we know. But we even see people like Oliver Stone, who gave immense support to Putin, and of course, has always been somebody who I think people promote a little bit too hard as being like, yeah, bro, he's fighting the establishment. And I saw this guy, maybe I heard of him, maybe I didn't see it, but this guy, Vigilante Justice, I think, what was it? He stopped putting out video. Yeah, Vigilante Intelligence. Sorry, yeah, Vigilante Intelligence. Maybe somebody in the comments will say, yeah, this guy, he stopped putting videos out in 2019, I guess. But I think that, it's interesting how he called out Ryan Dawson and called out, David Duke and, all these other folks. But I think, I'm talking about, of course, Russia, this and that. And I think a lot of folks are realizing, Russia is not going to be this savior. Of course, a lot of folks will say, oh, it's ultimately connected to the Soviet Union, this and that, and Dugan, do this, do that. But the thing is, of course, now we've seen that. I'm going to go ahead and be gentle and say it this way, but in general, I think Russia is a paper tiger. And we've seen that this invasion has not gone well. Like I say, I'm not going to support the Ukrainian government or any of the gay ops that are being done by the United States, but I'm going to be like everybody else that has half a brain, including, like the revolutionary left radio guys, like that Breck guy, I think, who says there are no good guys in this fight. And there aren't. Whether it's the defense of Zelensky or whether it's the defense of Putin, it's bullshit on both sides. I'm just gonna, like I say, I'm just gonna say it that way. Realizing that I've promoted I've promoted the Nazbo meme. I absolutely have. I've promoted kind of like the pro-China stuff. And like I say, ultimately, I'm gonna say this. Even giving lip service to trying to become a collaborator, or supporting Russia or supporting China, is a dead end. And this is somewhat rhetoric I've pushed before. Is that you're never gonna be Chinese, you're never gonna be Russian. If you move to these countries, no matter how much of a intelligent person you are, right? So if you step out of line, you're done. And even then, there are actual Russian people who do, if they do step out of line, you're done, my son. Basically, to answer the question of the title of this video, no, it's not worth being a collaborator. Generally speaking, it isn't. It's never turned out well, whether it's General Philippe Pétain of the Vichy government and Pierre Laval. Sorry, I'll just say Pierre Laval. Pierre Laval, or talking about Ferenc Szalasi in Hungary, or whomever else you want to point to. It never worked out well for them. It didn't work out well for them. It's the same thing for even people like, hell, I'll even say it, people like Kim Philby. What happened to him? I mean, he came to Russia after, working with, selling information to the Gomis and stuff like that. And what didn't he get for it? You know, he, in general, I think, as far as I know, just kind of lived in. I guess he lived somewhat of an okay life, but really he wasn't. He was respected, I guess, by the Soviet higher ups. But you think average people cared? I don't know. I mean, you could say the same thing with people like Big Bill Haywood. He apparently was depressed, drank a lot, and died kind of young. But anyway, I digress. Like I say, I think anybody who, is within a certain age range, they realize that the United States does not hold the American citizen's best interest. The United States government does not hold our interests. It doesn't, obviously. But to think that you can collaborate with the Chinese, the Russians, whomever else, no. They don't hold your interest, much the same way as, and I think the only way you can really do that is by just, giving in. You look at people like, for example, Leon DeGrelle. Leon DeGrelle, even though he claimed to be, the most Catholic person ever, is that he was never going to be, is that he was excommunicated, for being part of the Waffen SS. Like I said, I mean, you can go on and on about the Waffen SS, about its pagan connections and everything. Like I say, I'm going to be very careful, like I say. But what I will say is this, it isn't worth being a collaborator. It's not even worth making memes and being ironic about it. So like I said, that doesn't mean I love the United States, but it comes down to, it's like, my solution is this, and I've promoted this idea before, is that ultimately, do what's best for you. Do what's best for you. If you genuinely think you're going to be okay being a collaborator, working with the Chinese or working with the Russians, by all means, go ahead. In general, I don't think that's going to work out too well, because you're just going to be a lapdog for somebody. But if you want to, I mean, Caleb Maupin is obviously on that road, or he's been on that road. Talking with Dugan and everything. Like I say, that's overstated. But the thing is, though, is that he's it's the same thing with Nick Fuentes. Of course, they'll ultimately support Russia, this and that. It's like I say, ultimately, it's one of those things where it's just like there's only two trenches, right? It's this false dichotomy of either Russia or Ukraine. And I think the vast majority of people don't care. They just want the violence to stop. They just want the killing to stop. Like I say, I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that I have promoted a lot of bullshit. And I didn't even get paid for it. But all I can tell y'all, man, at the end of the day is just be careful of what people you follow and what sort of bullshit they claim to really believe in, right? Like I say, man, you'll have these morons who are just like, yeah, bro, China's based. China loves white people, isn't it? It's like, no. China just wants the U.S. to be broken apart. And I've promoted that as well. But I'm going to put it this way. Just be careful. And if you're not getting money from these things, just try to be cautious, I think I'll end it there. I think I'll end it there. Just be careful of what you get involved with. Be careful of what you promote. And ultimately, I'm going to say this, is that being a collaborator is not going to do well for you. Caleb Maupin, you're in for a hell of a ride, and I don't think the Russians are going to help you. You know, I mean, a lot of the Russian oligarchs allegedly are basically rats leaving the ship. They're like, "Nah, I'm not getting involved with it's like, the sanctions and the everything else are coming down. It's like, smart money is leaving. I think a lot of, even Oliver Stone, of course, has denounced Putin, even though he's had plenty of talks with him, spent hours talking with him, etc., etc. Like I say, people, I'll finish up with this. My little rant here that's been going on for a while is that a lot of folks are trying to come to terms with the facts like, yeah, America bad, but other countries are bad too. And it's not really coherent right now. And it just sounds like neoconservatism. It just sounds like, well, we need to support America. We need to support NATO against the evil Russian hordes, the Asiatische Bolschewismus, as Hitler said, right? I just, will this evolve a bit? Will it fall, just into straight up sort of neoconservatist sort of beliefs where it's like, yeah, the U.S. needs to be the world's policeman because we support a true free system? I don't know. But what I will say is, a lot of folks, most people, in my opinion, give lip service to the system. They don't actually care about it. They only care about what it brings them. The reason why Russian people support Putin is because they think that they can make Russia great again. That's really what it is, right? And not even like Soviet Union type of stuff, destroying churches and shit like that. They mean like the imperial power where they could go and travel and, have this sort of, a better standard of living compared to now. That's what they wanted. Now, of course, like I say, I'm sure that there are plenty of folks who will say, but the Soviet Union, like I say, the Soviet Union, those times were a hell of a lot better than what is going on in Russia now. I think honest people will at least say that. It's the same thing if Americans went back to the 50s or the 60s, not because they were perfect, and obviously they were the beginning of the end, but they gave the appearance that you could have just one job and pay for everything. I'm like I say, ultimately, ostensibly, this is about, talking about other people, but it's also talking about myself and coming to terms with what I've promoted on this channel and where I'm going. And it's one of those things, like I say, I've ranted about a lot of shit, this and that, but as I get older, I realize you have to be more realistic about it. I'll leave the bullshit up. Don't get me wrong. You can say, well, what about when you said this? Yeah, I did say that. But I'd like to think I've changed a little bit. Anywho, I think I'm not going to explicitly state, supporting one thing or another. And I don't want y'all to. Y'all can do what you want. Believe what you want. But just be mindful that there are alternative motives out there. And not to get caught up. Anyway, I think that's all I really got to say. Hopefully y'all got something out of that. Hopefully y'all can say, well, I don't agree with you, but I appreciate what you said. And that's good enough. Anyway, hopefully y'all enjoy that. See you later. A goodbye.